Thanks everyone for joining us for our Week 5 review episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're here to break down the full slate of action, talk through the exciting action that took place in Week 5. I am here with Byron and Joe as per usual. Gentlemen, welcome to another episode. How are you both, first of all?
I think Joe's doing better than me, so I'll let him go first.
Yeah, can't really have a better weekend, to be honest. I'm sure we'll talk about it later on, but as you can see from my background, it's certainly a happy one for me and commiserations for you too.
Yeah, I penciled in a whole 20 seconds to talk about Cowboys Niners later on, so in the run sheet. But before we do and break into the games, a couple of bits of business. First of all, as always, go give us a follow. So follow us on Spotify, Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. You will be notified of new episode drops. We're in a routine now, so they're coming out Tuesday night in the UK, Tuesday afternoon in the US, and Thursday night in the UK. And Thursday afternoon in the US. I guess we're in a bit of rhythm and routine with it now, so we're settled. So you've got plenty of opportunity to listen to it post NFL weekend and pre NFL weekend for the review and preview. Go give us a follow on Instagram, GTW_GTC, Twitter/X, same at GTW_GTC, and finally on YouTube. We've got more people that watch the videos on YouTube than subscribe. So if you haven't subscribed yet, like and subscribe. Again, you'll be notified when new videos are up there if that's your preferred way to view. Before we get into it, I'm just going to take a couple of moments, guys. Sorry, Joe, I didn't talk you through this before. So we started this. We've been running this 10 months now. Started in January, and here we are in Week 5 of the NFL 2023 season. What started out was a daft idea from me, kind of October time last year. Started becoming, me recording episodes on my phone in my front room in January. Joe, Byron, you guys came on, and then we are where we are now, which I think is in a much, much better place. And we actually have a show we can call our own, which I think is pretty cool, with people that watch and listen. So thank you, and we appreciate you all that have supported. But I think one guy that supported more than any, sadly, passed away last week. So Dan Harris from the Let's Talk Sports Network, not from it, he created it all. He's the guy behind the whole thing. And Dan reached out to me back in March after I don't know how we found it, saw kind of the Twitter account for Good Teams Win and listened to some of the episodes, seen some of the videos, and reached out about kind of becoming part of the Let's Talk Sports Network. And if Dan would have done that back in March, I don't think we'd be here now doing what we're doing and having some of the exciting things that we've got. So I think I just want to say a huge thank you, and luckily I had the chance to tell him this before he passed, but a huge thank you to Dan for everything he's done for us. And maybe not so much, obviously you won't see so much of what Dan's done on screen because he does everything in the background, but got us guests. We did that, all those state of the AFC, state of the divisions that we would never have been able to get guests, I don't think, like that. And those guys are all brilliant and all part of the network. That was down to Dan getting us guests to do the stupid drafts that we were doing in the off season, right? That were a lot of fun and absolutely daft. But Dan was a huge supporter and a huge reason why we got guys to come on and help us with that. So, but we are part of the Let's Talk Sports Network. We're doing a lot of stuff on our own now, but we're still part of the Let's Talk Sports Network, and we will continue. But what Dan did in building that network Dan was really poorly for a long period of time. He was quite isolated at home, so he built a network to connect with people. And what he's done is bring hundreds of people together across the US, Canada, and the UK into a great place to talk about sports, whatever the sport is that you love. And, it's a network that's growing strong. There's a couple of thousand subscribers over on YouTube. There's more and more content being produced, and that's all down to Dan. So just want to say a huge thank you from Good Teams and Great Teams Cover to Dan, and a shout out to the guys at Let's Talk Sports Network who are picking up, because there's a lot to pick up and carry on. Dan did so much, but Tanner's taking the lead on it. We had Tanner on as a guest a couple of weeks ago as a guest picker. He's taking on the kind of leadership with it, along with some other guys. But it will continue. We will remain part of the Let's Talk Sports Network. But rest easy, Dan. We appreciate everything that you did for us.
Well said.
Cool. So we'll do what Dan would absolutely want us to do and talk about football. So let's get into the games, absolutely, and talk about it. Let's start in London, because we had our second London game. Jacksonville Jaguars Buffalo Bills 25-20 to the Jaguars. I didn't see this one coming. The Bills were on an absolute roll, right? You know, the three back-to-back performances where the defense was looking impressive and dominant. We saw Josh Allen playing, perfect football at times. What happened? What happened to the Bills? Where did it all go wrong for Buffalo on Sunday?
I think defensively they were just a little softer and a bit sloppier than they have been. And I think Jacksonville played better on offense than they have done as well. I don't think talent-wise there's a huge discrepancy between the two. I think the Bills are the better team. But I think the Jags have I said this last week, I think the Jags have underperformed relative to what we expect them. And we've said that most weeks truthfully because they have underperformed. But I've always felt like they're real close. Like it seems to be like just little mistakes in crucial spots that they make. And otherwise, they seem in a real good spot. The week in London, obviously, I think is a big help. I think it turned out the Bills arrived, 48 hours before the game?
I think they went on Thursday, yeah. Traveled Thursday.
There was some I've seen in the commentary or heard in the commentary of like Stephon Diggs was calling Josh Allen like sleepy. And it's like, that's not really what you want to hear about your quarterback being sleepy on game day. But it's a difficult circumstance. You have a game the week before, you're now in London. Do you go at the start of the week and try and do the full week? There's no right answer, I don't think. But I think being there for 2 weeks is a big help for Jacksonville. It's the first time we've ever seen it. So it's hard to, attach too much, we knew it was going to happen value. But like logically, it does make a lot of sense that they didn't have that upheaval. They're already there. Jacksonville are very comfortable in London. And yeah, I think pretty closely balanced teams. Losing Matt Milano is a huge loss for the Bills. And
big injury, yeah. So that's back-to-back weeks now. Tre'Davious
Exactly.
White, Matt Milano. The two huge parts of that, huge parts of that defense. Joe, kind of how did you see it? I know very early morning for you. I haven't watched that game in Canada, but yeah, how did you see it?
Yeah, I think similar to what Byron said, it did look like they were jet lagged. I think they landed Friday morning, which I always find a bit strange to get here. So like, you only got like one evening to get right, really, for before the game. So they did come out sleeping. I think they did have a lot of injuries on defense. It felt like the first half, it was like every single player, there was like a big player going down. I think they lost a few others as well, like on the line. So I think that obviously doesn't help. But it's like a London game. It is one of them things. It's like a one-off game. So it's like if they play again, would it be similar? I'm not quite sure. More now because with the Bills losing a lot of players on defense, not quite sure how good they will actually be going forward. But I just feel like Josh Allen and the offense would have played better if it was probably at the Bills Stadium rather than going across. But you got to give props to Jaguars. I think that was Trevor Lawrence's best game. He hit a lot of big throws, especially when he was on third downs, and especially later on, he just kept finding Calvin Ridley quite a lot of times. You think, the Bills are finally going to get off the field here, and then, he just kept extending it. So I think you've got to give props to Ben. It's probably the best game this season, and 2-0 in London and moving back with some momentum. See if they can carry that on.
I think when you look at that time of possession, but I think it was 38-20, 38-21, like the Jacksonville just extended drives. And I think probably the difference is that, they had probably huge games from their key players. Travis Etienne had a monster game, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ridley had a huge game, 7 grabs for 122. Lawrence looked good. I've seen a lot of negativity from Bills accounts on social media. Actually, we never want to come to London again. The injuries, the travel, blah, blah, blah. The NFL's been coming here for 16 years. Those excuses don't wash for me. No. The Bills have been. This is not the first time the Bills have been. The Bills came. I think it was 2017. And played the Jaguars at Wembley. But I think this is a very Billsy performance, not to use that home of Spurs, but like we've seen them just switch off in games and spots where we thought they should kind of be dominant. We saw it week 1 this season. We saw it at the back end of last season in games where you thought they should kind of be real comfortable. And I think it's more of an indictment of where the Buffalo Bills are around. They have these huge high spots, but they have huge letdown spots as well. Shout out Bills Mafia though in the UK. I don't know if you got with the atmosphere came across on the broadcast you were watching, but they turned out that stadium was blue. That really did fit. So that's probably one of the London games that I've observed where it did actually feel like a home game. Yeah. They were loud, they were crazy. Yeah, and it kind of felt like it would have felt in Buffalo. But yeah, I wasn't impressed with kind of all the Bills media slagging off kind of coming to the UK when the Bills Mafia in the UK came out and showed up and showed out like that. I was real disappointed in them for that. You got beat, you didn't play well, just fuck off back to Buffalo and go get it right.
What a host. And yeah, if the stadium wasn't blue during the game, the fans were certainly blue going home from the game.
Excellent. Let's leave that one there. Let's move on then. Another AFC battle this time. One that's, again, going to be key to the AFC South. Titans, Colts, Titans 16, Colts 23. I mean, let's talk, first of all, before we get into the game. Anthony Richardson, injured again. Not really surprised. Slightly different one. This one, it was more the fall, wasn't it? How do the Colts cope without Anthony Richardson, first of all?
Well, I think the good thing is they've probably got one of the best backups in the league, where he's like a borderline starter, where, you know, if you could see him on a few different teams, you know, being the starting quarterbacks. I think that helps. So I think it gives him a chance, because he obviously came in and played well, and he did it against the other home game when they were when we someone out with a concussion. So I think they can cope with that. And yeah, it was a weird one, because it wasn't like a huge hit or where you like winced when it happened. It was just an innocuous fall, and obviously he's done his AC joint in his shoulder. So it's curious how long he's going to be out, because obviously that's the same injury what Derek Carr had, and Carr came back straight away. So it's going to be one of them weird ones where, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? If he does, how long for? But, you know, it was a good win against the Titans. I think I had the Titans to win it, just because they seemed like the kind of team who would win that kind of game. But yeah, the Colts balled out. Moss had a great game. I know Taylor was back, who's just signed a contract. So obviously everything what he did holding out worked at the end. But yeah, they're looking good going forward. Like, you know, they're in this AFC South battle of 3-2. So you can't really ask much more on that, especially what everyone thought they were going to be starting coming into the year, where some people had them getting that the number one pick.
Yeah, I think Zach Moss definitely making the show to the coaching staff around. Look, you don't need to throw just Jonathan Taylor back in fully yet. You know, huge game, 165 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. He's been going pretty well, hasn't he, Zach Moss, to be fair, to start the year. Yeah. Taylor looked rusty when he came in. I think he only carried it 6 times and a reception. But kind of, some positives. And then I just think, Gardner Minshew can carry them to some wins. I think he's going to need Taylor back to help with that. And some more help from that receiving core. But yeah, on the whole, good afternoon for the Colts. Let's flip it to the Titans. Titans is a favourite. Again, you know, look, I'll back the Titans as an underdog, but I'll stay clear of them as a favourite. Again, just another kind of duel where you feel like they're getting a bit of momentum. They played really well against the Bengals last week. They were crap against the Browns the week before. Very similar again, where it was a real letdown performance. The one bright spot being DeAndre Hopkins. They got him the ball the first time, really.
It's very worrying. I think Derrick Henry, he's kind of looking, he has his moments, but because he had a big game against the Bengals the week before, but more often than not, it looks like Tajay Spears is probably certainly the more dynamic back. I know Derrick Henry is maybe not dynamic in nature, but he's looking a little old, truthfully, Henry, and you know, it kind of feels like maybe I think we all said this during the offseason, like the Titans maybe look like they've kind of come to the end of a cycle while still wanting to compete. And I think that's always a real tough path to bear. It's like, do you rebuild or do you just kind of chug along a little? And obviously they brought Hopkins in to try and keep chugging along a little bit. And I think it's probably not going to work out well this season, certainly. Vrabel's a great coach, though, so he'll have him compare with whatever he has out there, I think. I kind of wonder if Ryan Tannehill gets a trade call. Maybe Atlanta, maybe New York to what next couple of weeks, because I don't think the Titans are going anywhere this year.
Yeah, it just feels like they're not playing or they're not getting themselves in positions in games, especially where Henry can be effective. This team probably similar to, you know, if we'll touch on Atlanta at some point, they need to be playing in front with the way that they play.
I'm guessing it's just tricky, like, just because they are 2-3 in a division, it's not, they're not running away. So, like, they could probably convince themselves to be like, oh, we're still in this, and they clearly are. So, I feel like I've got to lose like the next few games, and probably if they're trading Tannehill, they'll probably be at the deadline and having lost quite a few. Because I know they're in London next week, which is a big game for them.
Yeah, they play the Ravens in Baltimore next week, which is a huge. They play the Ravens in London next week. I'll get it right.
Baltimore East.
Yeah, but and that's a huge game for both teams, given kind of what's happened this week. And I think if the loser of that one's going back with kind of almost a season going off the rails. But yeah, I think Vrabel will keep them close, and just because of the division, they'll still probably we'll get to week 16, 17, 18, and they'll still be in with a shout a win in it. But you just sort of feel that division's there for the taking for somebody. Somebody can just get their act together, and it might be Jacksonville now, who, after coming back from London, winning those 2 games, we had the first 3 weeks, had a lot of questions about them, but they put back-to-back wins together. But it just feels like someone just get a grip of this division and take control, because it's there for the taking. Alas, they probably won't. Anything else from this one before we move on? Oh, I think the line of Richardson is probably going to be out for a month, I think, is the
he's asked for a second opinion from a doctor, and it's cliche, but you only ask for a second opinion if you don't like the first one. So I don't want to say it's season ending, but I think at least a month feels like it might be optimistic at this point.
How worrying is it? Break. Yeah. How worrying is it for the Colts long term? We are 5 weeks in. He's missed 1 game. This is the 3rd time he's been in. This is the 3rd time Gardner Minshew's had to come in.
I think it's tricky because you just don't know. It could have just been like bad luck, Something like, obviously the concussion one, he's probably going to learn from that and a few others. But like that one was just such and it could probably happen to anyone where it just falls that way. It's one of the things you just go wait and see, don't you, with that kind of stuff. It's not like it's a devastating injuries or it's like career threatening. It's just weird niggly ones which keep happening. So it's just... I
remember in his second season, like Keenan Allen was like injury prone and would never, he's never going to be a sustainable NFL wide receiver. And I think he's played 16 games most years since. Like, it can look bad at the start, but the fact that they are all different injuries, I fully agree. Like, you just got to kind of play it by ear. My concern is more that it's on his throwing shoulder. Like,
Cars wasn't, was it? Which is,
and. Car's towards the end of his career as well. Like, not towards the end of his career, but like he's certainly not the start of his career. Like, if the Colts lose a few games, maybe don't rush him back. Like, make sure he's fully right before he plays again, because you really don't want to fuck up his throwing shoulder, because that's just, stupid. And that's why you have a good number 2.
Yeah, and I would say like they've got 5 games until the bye, and they've got Jags, Browns, Saints, Panthers, Patriots. So, it's not like horrendous teams. So if they can go, 2-3 and he comes back and they're 5-5, they'll still probably be in a chance to win AFC South unless someone, just get like Jags win the next 5. But, can you really trust the Jags? They looked amazing. They could just, be who they have been at the start of the season. So it's, if they're 5-5, then they're still in it. And I think Minshew's good enough to at least beat 2 of them teams possibly. It could really beat them all. There's not like a team like, oh, Jesus Christ, like they're going to get absolutely destroyed in that game. It's
I don't know who the third quarterback is, but I think I'd back him to beat the Patriots right now.
Yeah.
That Jags one next week, the next game, the Jags one's huge. The Jags can sweep them, and then that becomes a little bit trickier, doesn't it? But yeah, it's exciting. It's going to be, I think we probably called out at the start. It might not be the highest quality division to watch, but it'll certainly be an exciting one because the race should go down to the end. And that's it. No, I've had enough AFC South talk. That's the AFC South talk for this episode. Focused on it for 15 minutes. Let's stick in the AFC though. Back to 3rd AFC game in a row, and Steelers Ravens. We thought it was going to be a rancid game. It was an absolutely rancid game, and I phased myself betting this weekend because the college went so bad for me on Saturday. But I screamed about it on the preview. Mike Tomlin is a home underdog. The Steelers as home underdogs, and it came in again. Steelers win 17-10. Didn't look like it for a long part of the game though, because the Steelers just could not get anything going. I think I said before in the preview, I felt this was one where if the Ravens could come out of this and win it and go 4-2, and they've got 3 road AFC North wins, I think that'd be them flying. All of a sudden, they're dragged back in. What did you make of what was quite a poor game?
I think the Ravens gave it away. The Steelers should not have won that game. It's kind of staggering to me between the drops on the receivers, the game management towards the end. I think Lamar had a good game, and just like, Mark Andrews dropped one in the end zone that flew past Zay Flowers. Did you see the punch TJ Watt put on Zay Flowers on social media? And then a few minutes later, like, Zay Flowers kind of just like stumbled and fell over, and it's like, I wonder if he's feeling something there. Not quite to her, but like, not quite looking great either. I try not to take too much away from it because Kenny Pickett still looked bad. The Steelers' offense still looked bad. And they kind of just fell into a win. Like, good for the Steelers and good for Mike Tomlin keeping his, underdog Tomlin record up. But I'm still more optimistic about the Ravens going forward. They've got Marlon Humphrey back, who didn't have much of a game like to talk about this week, but just getting back on the field, I think, is a big one. And I'm still more optimistic with the Ravens going forward than I'm Pittsburgh, certainly. Pittsburgh look, to me, pretty lost at sea, and defense is going to carry them to some wins they maybe don't deserve like this week, but that's why you have an elite defense, I guess. But I don't think they're challenging for the playoffs.
And it's crazy because obviously they've got the same record, which is like nuts. And obviously the Bengals are back in it now at 2-3. So it just feels like where Baltimore could have put a stamp on it. Yeah. And it's just crazy. They should be 5-0. It's like their two losses are probably the games you look back like, how the hell did we lose that game?
Yeah.
And that's probably more frustrating for the fans and everyone involved that they should be 5-0. It's not like they just played a team and they were like, oh, the better team won. Fair enough. We're 3-2. It's no, you've let two games go, which you just shouldn't have let go. And that just makes
games to Gardner Minshew and Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. So then it goes back. It's like, okay, I feel like they can make the playoffs, but just how these games are going, I'm like, I don't trust them. I feel like they're a wild card and done kind of team. I think if they're like, that separates from like good teams to great teams is that like you beat bad teams when they're there for the taking and not let them like hang around. And it's very Steelers to just hang around for ages and just have one or two big players and then they're winning these kind of games. It was just nuts, like how many drops, and just disappointing from their point of view where they could have been the clubhouse leaders and the favourites to win that division. Now it's all up in the air.
Yeah, it's wild. The record is ridiculous. I think it's 15-5-3 since Tomlin's been in that job with the Pittsburgh Steelers, home underdogs against the spread. 15-5-3 is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I just didn't listen to myself. Did not listen to myself. 65%.
35% right this week.
Yeah, and straight up 13-7. So it's an unbelievable record as a home underdog. And just listen to I've done the work, did the research, did the work, just placed a bet, Paul. Again, that AFC North, where the Ravens, even though they say they could have started closing the door again, that just feels open again with the Bengals, which we'll talk about. Feels like we've got a race on. Cool. TJ Watt again, kind of I think strengthening his defensive player of the year credentials again. I think it was 2 sacks in a huge game, big plays at big times. He's ridiculous. I think it was, what was he, third favorite? I think it was, what was he, 6-1 or something pre-season?
For more sacks.
Oh, for defensive player of the year?
Probably around that, yeah. It might have been a little longer. I mean, he's plus 300 now, which feels a nice price.
That does feel a real good price, actually. I feel like I could go, when we finish, put a load of money on that because he's playing insane at the minute. What, we're 5 weeks in and it's for 9 sacks 5 weeks in. That's a heck of a pace. Heck of a pace.
And he's scoring touchdowns this year.
Sorry?
He's even scoring touchdowns this year too.
Touchdowns, yeah, absolutely. Cool. Ravens, Steelers. Let's move then into the afternoon slate. Vikings involved in yet another one-score game, but like 2023 has been so far. They're on the wrong side of it again. 27-20, a bit close. I generally thought the Chiefs were going to blow them out here, so the Vikings did keep it close. What did we think?
Yeah, again, I was kind of impressed with the Vikings, especially on defense, keeping it close than I thought, because I'd made the big fuss about Brian Flores bun blitz too much and Mahomes was going to eat him alive. And, Mahomes had under 300 yards, 280-ish, and 27 points. I think that's a fairly standard day at the the office really for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's not like I mean, Taylor Swift wasn't in the building, so didn't have that good luck charm, obviously. And Kelsey did go down, and I know he came back in, but he didn't look quite right. I mean, ultimately, it took care of business. They did cover the spread as well, which I thought they were going to. I think, like you, I think I was maybe looking at like a 13-point plus win. Obviously, you take it however it comes. I think the big loss for the Vikings is obviously Justin Jefferson's hamstring. He's on IR, and already the talk is like he might not be back in 4 weeks. And, you know, Justin Jefferson doesn't have a contract. Well, he doesn't have a contract extension. He doesn't have a contract. It's his rookie contract. He doesn't have his extension. Cousins is out of contract this year. Might they look at trade talks potentially of getting him out? I know I said a few weeks ago I don't see it happening because you don't upset Justin Jefferson. Well, if Justin Jefferson's already out for another 4 weeks, the season's lost for they're 1-4 now, the Vikings. How many more games do you think they're going to win without Justin Jefferson? They're not pushing for that division. They're not going to make the wild card spot. So, you know, embrace the tank, I think, maybe for the next, 13 weeks. Justin Jefferson, take your time to get fit again. A bit of a write-off of the season, as sad as that is. Hate to see it.
Yeah, do you think, like I said, if the Vikings are going to end up potentially with one of them quarterbacks in the draft, whether not Sam Williams, but we've got Mayer, there's others, Penix, whoever, there's some options there.
Sanders,
it's making a case. I don't know. I think that train's starting to slow. But Colorado, one of the ones that did not cover for me in college football. Go and get your kickers to dance, Dion, when you're pushing. Anyway, yeah, and to do that, and just Justin Jefferson maybe give it a year before sort of seeing what it's like, and then maybe trying to get out of there.
I think the only thing is, like, I know he hasn't got his contract extension, but I think they're going to pay him the highest paid wide receiver. I don't think they can be like, well, you missed this season. It's like, well, I've literally broke most records I literally have more yards than any other Bears receiver ever. So, just they're going to give him like the biggest contract wide receiver. So I think, if they're going to do that, then I think, I think the player will be a lot down and sign that. Because, he's like one of them players where you just can't trade in the next few years. So he's just, if they get a young, and even if like they win some games, I think they'll probably keep Kirk. If they can't get one of them good quarterbacks, and they'll probably be happy with that because they've got lots of other places to get better at. So yeah, I don't see it too bad. But on the flip side, at least Kelsey, because when he first went down, that looked like, oh god, he could be out. He could be out for the year here. He's done something major, and it was just a low ankle sprain, I think. So. And I think it did show, like, when he was not in the lineup, it was like, oh shit, yeah, we've actually got no one decent at wide receiver here, or we've got no one to like be the number one and carry this team. So I'd be curious to see if they look for try and trade a wide receiver before the deadline, because they certainly need one. But I also don't know if they're going to invest on lowers and be like, oh, we've got Patrick, we've got Mahomes, we don't need anyone, we don't need a number one wide receiver. But I think. Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be number one though. Like, I think an extra body would definitely be helpful. Just because, like, even players like Marcus Valdes-Scantling, like, they've had their time, but like, he's just not good. Mm-hmm. Like, all his metrics are awful for the year, and like, I know like him and Justin Watson kind of like open the field for other players and stuff. It's like, yeah, but you need to contribute as well, certainly at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think come near the deadline, I think they will look for somebody. Surely.
Yeah, they've got, and they'll top out with kind of Kelsey, and if they want to maybe just sit him, they've not exactly got this run.
He is in training already for
Denver
Thursday's game.
Chargers. Yeah, Denver at home, Chargers at home, Denver away, and the next 3 games before they play Miami in Week 9. Is it worth? You've already missed Kelsey for a game to start the year. Do you maybe just take no risk with him, sit in the Thursday night football game at home against Denver? Can you win that game without him? Yeah, I think they'll be fine.
That defense, you can probably win without Mahomes.
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco's going for 200.
So yeah, it's an opportunity maybe just to take, be risk averse with Kelsey, because I think the drop off's huge. I think the Chiefs look really beatable this year more than others, and I know it takes them a while to get going, but I feel this year more than any other, I really feel like you can get them and beat them. And they've been in some close games. The Jets had a shot to beat them. The Vikings were in this one. I know kind of made it closer in the fourth quarter. The Vikings were in this one for a while. I know I just feel there's a bit of maybe the invincibility isn't there anymore.
Yeah, I think the weird thing is though, it's like their defense is actually looking good, and it's usually like the opposite. They're usually looking terrible at this time of year, and then suddenly the playoffs they beating like the top offenses. So it's like a reversal this year. So is it going to be similar where the offense is just suddenly going to spring to life later on? And if it does, then you should be like, oh, watch out.
Could be. Right, yo. I really don't want to talk about this.
We're doing Packers at Raiders, right? That's next game, right?
Jets at Broncos.
Let's get out of the way. Let's rip the plaster off, Byron. Cowboys at Niners, Sunday Night Football. San Francisco 49ers 42. Dallas Cowboys 10. Go on, Joe. It's yours.
Well, just soak this in for the time being. I think it just showed that game, watching it, it was like the first big test, and they just blew them apart. And it was just like crazy. It was like I was more disappointed with like the Dallas's defense more than anything. I knew like it was going to be 50-50. Dallas offense was going to be like decent against the 49ers defense, but like even like the Dallas's defense didn't really throw a punch at all. It was like there were so many times where it was like 2nd and 13, and then it's just like, just an easy hit to Ayuk or Debo, just like over the middle constantly, and it was just like, this has been really simple. And it got to a point when they got to the halftime, and Shanahan was disappointed that we're only winning 21-7 because we should be winning by a lot more, because obviously with the McCaffrey fumble, and so they just blew them apart, and then obviously just withdrawing all the starters at the start of the fourth. It was just simple as it comes, and just Brock Purdy showing that he is a great quarterback, because I think some of the throws were outstanding when he was like just dropping it over the linebacker's head just into the basket of the wide receivers. I thought it was a complete game from start to finish, and I think the defense showed up as well. And Fred Warner just showing that he's the best linebacker in this league. He was just everywhere and just one man on a mission.
Yeah, I think this kind of cemented. We knew the 49ers were good. We knew the 49ers were great. And could Dallas get close to them? I didn't think they'd win. Obviously not. I picked Niners to cover the spread. I just thought it'd be a lot closer. I thought Dallas would do a better job of slowing down the San Francisco offense. I thought Dallas would struggle on offense because of how good the Niners are defensively. But I thought the Cowboys defense would make a better fist of it. And they just didn't. And I think I didn't watch it live Sunday, and I sadly found out the score before watching the game in 40. But as soon as I saw that first play, the first play is a 15-yard face mask penalty. I think it's on Jerome Kearse, and I was like, this is definitely going to go to shit because ill-disciplined again. Yeah, it's the worst stuff from a Cowboys perspective, and the Niners were just at it. And you can't look. And there's part of the reason why the Cowboys were so bad was because the Niners were so good. They made them bad. And so nothing to take away from the 49ers. And they're rolling with a huge amount of confidence, and rightly so. And they're looking so much better than where Philadelphia are as well, I think, which is interesting. And fully expect them to win the NFC. But huge problems for Dallas, I think. Byron?
Cosign. I mean, what else is there to say, really? I mean, I picked Dallas to cover the spread. I thought Dallas's defense would be much more stout against Brock Purdy. I mean, they looked okay against Sam Darnold, so I mean, that's something. Dismal. It's kind of inexcusable to like shit the bed that much and to really consider yourself a top team, which I think on paper Dallas are. But, to quote an old English soccer person, I'm going to say Brian Clough, I'm not 100% sure. Football isn't played on paper. It's played on grass or turf or whatever material the stadium chooses in America. And they got embarrassed and they got the pants pulled down. And, fair play to Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, McCaffrey, Kittle, Ayuk, who just, they showed what an elite team looks like. And I think kind of have to take Dallas out of the conversation of it because it's hard to do so. Like, yeah, you can lose a free game to the Cardinals. You can have your red zone issues against the Patriots and still, give Bill Belichick the biggest whooping of his lifetime. And then turn up on Sunday Night Football and do this it's embarrassing. So
I do wonder if the 49ers were a bit in the Cowboys players' heads because he felt like before the game they were like, this is our biggest game, this is a revenge game, all this, and they didn't just not just lose. At least the playoffs, some of the playoffs have been fairly close. And this one was embarrassing where 49ers offensive line, I don't think is that amazing when you actually look. They've got Trent Williams and everyone else is would be backups probably most other places.
Yep.
And they were just running all over them. Even Jordan Mason, who's their third running back. He was just absolutely storming through. And they actually restricted McCaffrey decently, but I think he was just having that. It's that having that ability to run, and then all the motion what Shanahan does. It's just and I always tell they'll just pick on the linebackers all game because I don't think they're good enough. And obviously there's few injuries as well. What's happened with the Cowboys now? I think my only worry about the 49ers is are we peaking too early?
One way to go, yeah.
Yeah, is it we've got another 11 games, are we still going to be at this level? Because I think if they did this in week 16, you'd be like, okay, this is Super Bowl here. But I still got fairly confident that they'll.
I mean, sadly, I think they're going to get more of a test in Cleveland this week than they got from Dallas on Sunday Night Football.
Or DTR, yeah.
Yeah, I love DTR. Do you remember how good DTR was in pre-season? But yeah, I mean, the run, they've got at Browns, at Vikings, and then probably, again, if the Bengals continue to shape up, that'll be, I think, quite the game in a few weeks' time. Niners at home to Cincinnati. But yeah, they look great. And yeah, probably fair concern they're going to run out of steam potentially. Who knows, they might have a bit of a lull and come again. But it feels like they were able to keep, they didn't have to kind of empty everything against Dallas. It feels like they got to keep kind of, a lot of stuff in the back pocket for later in the year. So, yeah.
And I don't worry about the peaking too early, running out of steam stuff. My concern with the Niners is the same as any real good team. Do they get any injuries? If they get injured, yeah, maybe. But Kyle Shannon's a maniac. He's not. I don't think he's going to run out of steam and going to run out of plays and going to run out of play calls. And if he does, he'll just see what Mike McDaniel's doing in Miami and copy that because that's what everyone's done with the cheap motion. So, yeah, I have no concern to that. Yeah, they might get injuries, but every team might get injuries. I think right now, I have no reason to project them to fall off in any way. Yeah, they're dominating teams, and that makes life easy because then you can rest in the fourth quarter, and that's against Dallas, who, are a top 5-6 NFC team, regardless of how Sunday went. They're just not a top 2 team.
Yeah, I think probably on the flip side for Dallas, Prescott got a load of stick again,
of course it does,
which I think is unwarranted.
Yeah, it
was a terrible team performance. The O-line was bad. The defense was bad. They couldn't run the ball. One of the interceptions hits Gallup in the hands. What more do you want from him? Yeah. Just bad day at the office. And I think, look, we're in week 5 review here. What's probably the biggest thing is I was already resigned to the start of the season, but obviously you get a bit of hope as the season starts that we're going to end up, as good as this season is going to get for Dallas is winning a wild card game. It can't, because this team, based on that performance and what they've done so far, cannot go to San Francisco and win in January, cannot go to Philadelphia and win in January. And that is just the long and the short of it. And as good as the season's going to get, is you're going to beat probably the NFC South team, division winner, on the road in the playoffs, and that is as good as it's going to get.
So they're not even going to beat Lions on the road if they'll be.
Yeah, if you end up with the North team,
I wouldn't think
they're
not. The Lions now.
Yeah,
you would about Mike McCarthy,
Well, I'd quite like him to go because I'd really.
That's what I'm saying.
Like him.
Because it feels like even though with the blowout wins, the offense has not been, being amazing. Everyone be like, "Oh my god, it's so good that you got that Texas offense now." It's just been.
It's nonsense. He's put it on himself, obviously, with Moore going and him taking over the duties. He's put it on himself that he knows ultimately if he doesn't if he doesn't take Dallas at least one step further, he's out of a job, and it's not working at the minute. He can't do anything else now. He's got to stick with it. He can't bring somebody else in. He can't hand it over to Schottenheimer. He's just got to see this through now, and it's going to see him through to the Dole queue, because if we get to the end of the season, and that's where we've got to again, 10, 11 wins, a win on the road, a win or getting beat in the wild card round, there's just no way he has to get fired.
Yeah.
And then what do Dallas do? Because you're in a real bad situation, because you've got to find a way to pay CD Lamb. You've got to find a way to pay Micah Parsons. You've got this anchor of Prescott's contract hanging around. I think they might be close to actually, you might just need to start again with it, but they won't.
They're not doing that.
What they'll do, and it's just going to be a mess.
The can is getting kicked down the road.
Cowboys talk over. Damn, it was bad. Right, those are our main games of the week. Let's get some cheer back in the room. Those are our main games of the week. Let's have a look at our FourFold challenge. We'll then look at our ATS picks. We'll drop in on the Fantasy Gameday winning lineup. We've got some great news if you're looking to play Fantasy Gameday, which I'm sure you all, if you're not already and you're in the UK, you absolutely should be. And you're going to get a little bonus because you listen to this show. And then we'll wrap up with winners and losers and we'll look at Thursday Night Football. Cool. FourFold challenge, week 5. We had our guest, Football Talk with Bo, who was a great guest. Again, it's been big Cowboys talk week because we had about 20 minutes talking about the Cowboys on the preview. I promise we will stop. Bo got his favourite. We'll start there. He backed the Niners, -3.5. Joe, Packers at Raiders. Packers, who ended up being a 2-point underdog. It was a strange game Monday night.
Yeah, it was one of them games because it was actually Thanksgiving here in Canada, and I completely forgot about the game until about the halfway through the third quarter. And I was like, oh, and I think I literally turned it over to the point just before the Raiders scored a touchdown to go ahead. But yeah, it sounded like a weird game. Obviously, crazy coaching decisions near the end, going for a field goal when you're 4 points up when you need 2 yards. But that's the Raiders for you. And yeah, I've heard with like Jordan Love is actually as good as we thought he was when we saw him in the first few weeks. The last few games has not been amazing. So it's it's a curious time for the Green Bay Packers.
I've seen Love is Blind was trending, but apparently that's a TV show. I thought it was just a review of the Green Bay game. Do you think we're gonna see these struggles? Because I know obviously Love's this is his 4th year, right? He backed up for 3 years, but are we going to see kind of a rookie-like season of him, of kind of highs and lows and struggles? I'd be stunned if not, really. That whole line was an issue last night, and it felt like Max Crosby was in the backfield more than AJ Dillon. Like
what a game he had, Crosby.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, but I think Jordan Love as well. Like he had that early-ish interception, he just looked a bit rattled from there and wasn't trusting himself. And I think that came into play on the last interception as well. I think if he'd thrown that early, Watson catches it ahead of the defender rather than having to come from behind the defender. I think he's an inconsistent quarterback, and he's having kind of rookie problems because he's, to a lot of intents and purposes, he's a rookie in game time for NFL. Not what you want in your 4th year necessarily, but I think there's going to be highs and I think there's going to be a lot of lows.
Yeah, talk about Max Crosby, what a game he had. He just lived in the backfield. I think 4 tackles for loss and a sack. And it could have been a lot more. He was just there all the time. So you lost that one, Joe, as the Packers as a 1-point favourite. Byron, you hit on the Lions -9.5. Yeah, again, just obliterated the Panthers, really.
Yeah, I'm annoyed I went with that on the under as well, because I got the Panthers part right. They're dog shit. There's no point being polite. They are the worst team in football, and it's not really close, I don't think. They look like they've got nothing. They look like an expansion team, and they don't have their own first-round pick. Anyway, and the Lions are so competent. Like, they look so good. That touchdown to Sam Laporta, the little trickeration, and then down the field, it was great to watch. And the Lions might be my favourite team in football right now, because it's certainly not the Dallas Cowboys. But I just love what they're doing. Like, they bully you up front. I mean, they've done this without Jahmyr Gibbs or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, again, it's against the Panthers. Yes, I will take that because I can't stand this Panthers team. But I just love it. Like, they're playing bully ball, and at home they look close to unstoppable right now. I can't wait to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think real good all-round performance from the Lions. Some big days. Montgomery had a big day. Yeah.
I think you got to shout out their draft as well, because obviously when we were watching it, we were like, why are they picking Jack Campbell and then Brian Brees is like that? And they're all having, big first seasons and they're all stepping up. The only thing I do with that, they're still getting injuries, especially in the cornerbacks. I know Mosley got injured, which was devastating. He just came back from his, I think it was right ACL, and then 2 plays in he does his left ACL. So
they're all contributing absolutely, and I think they're going to need to carry on contributing. And we haven't even seen, I don't think, really what Gibbs is capable of yet. They've not really worked out quite how best to utilize him. That's probably going to come later in the season, and kind of we've got Montgomery going as well as he is. If you can kind of work Gibbs in better and get him more of the ball, with weapons we've got scary. Proposition Detroit. The Panthers season, I think you can write it's gone already, and there's just I mean, they'll hope Adam Thielen's shown up the last couple of games as a bit of a veteran presence. He had a big game.
I think he's a top 12 fantasy wide receiver this year so far. That's not going to last, but
that's his second double-digit reception week, I think.
I don't know if you've seen the Frank Reich press conference quotes today, or it must have been yesterday, I guess, but just talking about his relationship with Tepper, the owner, David Tepper, and it's like there's a lot of constructive talks right now, and I think they're making us get better. They're helping us. It's like, man, you sound like you do not want to be there, and I don't blame him, because someone pointed this out on Twitter. I can't remember who it was now to give him the credit, but all the talk was that the Panthers were taking CJ Stroud. Josh McCown, who's in the offensive coaching staff now, under Frank Reich, he almost openly said they were taking CJ Stroud on an underdog NFL show and talked about all his good stuff, and they were going to play horse together. And then they obviously needed to convince ownership, because to CJ Stroud's pro day went David Tepper and David Tepper's wife, which is very unusual. You don't normally see, I was going to say Robert Kraft going with his wife, but I don't know how relationships are in the Kraft household, so that's a bad example. But it's not something you see often, is owners' wives going to pro day. So did you need to be convinced of CJ Stroud's character? I don't know, but it's weird. And then it just shifts, and they take Bryce Young. And I mean, that's looking, you don't like to make aspersions after 5 games, but it is night and day. CJ Stroud looks like one of the top 10, 12, 15 quarterbacks in the league already. And Bryce Young looks like, a college quarterback.
I'm not sure. Look, if CJ Stroud's in this situation instead of Bryce Young, I'm not convinced it's particularly any better. I just think it's everything around it. Bryce,
I would wager money that Bryce Young doesn't look any better in Texas, because that situation isn't great.
It's not great, but I feel like they've got more pieces around that to help out. I think I think
that's easy said.
I think they've hit on some players, Dell and some others, where I just thinking Carolina here, it just seems a bit better. They went around to obviously get the veterans in, and there's only really feeling like Sanders has been a disaster.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders has been a disaster. How many times has he coughed up the ball in 5 weeks? Is it 4 times already?
Not great, yeah.
Miles Sanders has been a disaster. They're really struggling running the ball.
I wonder if he's coaching as well, with Houston having, what's his name now? Defensive coordinator. He was from 49ers anyway. But having that kind of, having that system, which, there's a big, I think that, especially for a rookie, that matters quite a bit then.
And this defense was pretty good in the second. Under Steve Wilkes, the defense was good.
On paper, it's a good unit. And they've got one of the most highly touted DCs, Elijah from Denver last year.
Yeah. So, big problems for Carolina. But you hit your favourite. I took the Bills as my favourite. It did not hit. We'll go to the underdogs. Mia Byron saying one we push the Texans.
Yeah, that's annoying. I did bet on that earlier in the week when it was +2.5 Texans, so I do feel a little better about that at least. Nice. That was one of my favourite bets of the week. I mean, it was a very squeaky bum one, and it got by on the squeakiest of bums. But Atlanta. What's his name? Desmond Ridder is unbeaten in 30 games at college and NFL level at home. How is that possible? Desmond Ridder's garbage, but he had a pretty good week this week, so I'll lay off Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, where was that at Wembley the other week? Could have helped me with my but yeah, he did just look a lot better, and I don't know if he sort of. I don't know if whether this would have been last opportunity before moving to Taylor Heineke, whether they would have done it or not. Because Arthur Smith was getting the questions, but I think he's quieting that down for a few weeks. Really looked really good. 28, 37, 329 and a touchdown. Yeah, and look, Pitts and London combined for 13 catches, 160 yards. Get the ball to the guy, your playmakers. Good things will happen.
That Bijan Robinson catch was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, yeah, maybe Desmond Ridder should throw it in front of him, but if it gives us that kind of highlight, I'm all for it.
Yeah. So yeah, some progress with Desmond Ridder and Atlanta, who sat at 3-2 in the very winnable NFC South. For the Texans, yeah, again 2-3, but again, I think Stroud had a really good game again. I think definitely a lot of positives even in defeat for the Texans this week.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I couldn't get a bit more around him. So yeah, we'll see if he progresses. Still no INT for CJ Stroud, which is coming. That might be when I start backing from next week. Stroud over half an interception because it's coming. Is he going to be? He broke the record this week, didn't he? Most passes to start a career without an interception.
Yeah, I think when he broke, he just threw out a play, that didn't
he?
He knew what was up.
Yeah.
No risks.
He was under pressure on it, and he just lobbed it out.
I did see some people said that there was like one or two which were potential interceptions this game compared to other ones, but
they are going to come. He's going to have, of course, he's going to have some struggles, but he's just started off so positively. And yeah, again, Texans in that mix in the AFC South at 2-3. Cool. Moving on, Joe. Broncos Jets, which turned out to be quite a fun game, really. In the end, it was a bit of a struggle.
Back in the off-season champs, you know what I mean? So, but no, yeah, it was a Brees Hall. Obviously, looks like he's getting back to his best. He's getting that speed, and it was just a good one to watch. I feel like everyone was against Sean Payton, everyone on the Jets team just wanted to win it for Nathaniel Hackett. So it's Nathaniel Hackett. So it was a fun win, and happy that he came off with the underdog.
Did you see the pep talk from CJ Zoma as they were going out?
No.
Yeah, and it was just like, he was talking, they were talking shit about Coach Hackett. They've made it personal. Let's go win it for Coach Hackett. And they did 31-21. And the Jets at 2-3. Brees Hall was just unstoppable, wasn't he? We had him in our Fantasy Gameday lineup, and he helped us massively. Byron, you also hit a big bet on Brees Hall. Do you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple actually. So my bet of the week, one of the bets of the week was Brees Hall to lead Sunday in rushing, plus 1,900. So that paid out a nice return. And then one of my ladder bets, I'll have to actually look up the details of it, but this one paid a real nice price. Is
it the over 120 yards?
Yeah.
1.5 catches and a touchdown.
Yeah, apparently it started from when I put them on, not from when I won them. So, sorry, this isn't great audio.
Great. Podcasting 101.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting to be prompted for it.
It's a gambling podcast.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm prepared. It's literally not in my list. What's going on?
I'll find it in our chat quicker than you find it, I bet you.
Definitely. It's not showing up in my winning list of bets. But anyway, it was Brees Hall to get
touchdown scorer, 120 plus yards and over 1.5 receptions at 36-1 plus 3,600.
Yes. Oh, there we go. I found it. Yeah, so just a real fun bet. I think he only had 2 catches as well. And he'd over 1.5 receptions, so that really worked out nicely. But yeah, great Brees Hall week, and nice to stick it to Sean Payton, and nice to have a big win, or 2 big wins, truthfully. So
good, yeah. You know what? Good for the Jets. I'm happy for Zach Wilson as well, getting that win.
Yeah.
Although it was Brees Hall's win, I think. Broncos. It was funny to see them get beat here, but I mean, feels like got in their own way a little bit. I think lost 3 fumbles they gave up. Which wasn't a pretty afternoon for Denver.
No, that defense is so soft as well.
Yeah. It was on pace for an all-time worst defense in NFL history, I think. But Joe, you got the Jets covering the 1.5. Well done. The over, I had Jets Broncos over because I thought it was going to be a bit of a fun game. It kind of took to the fourth quarter. It came alive, didn't it? But yeah, that was a hit in the end. Packers Raiders under for you, Byron. Over. You went for it was the under. Was it 17-13? So yeah, not really close, was it?
Nah, terrible offensive performance, especially from Green Bay.
Yeah,
turgid.
Joe, you hit Bengals at Cardinals over 44. Joe Burrow called it a must-win game beforehand, and yeah, they really put in a huge performance, didn't they? When they really needed it.
Yeah, I think they're getting back on track. I think the big thing was Burrows was coming out of the pocket a bit more and throwing on the run, which he hadn't done the first few weeks. So yeah, it was a big win. I think it was plenty over as well.
54, 34, 20, yeah.
So yeah, because I thought Arizona's offense again played decent. Where I think it was 24-10 at one point until but maybe a double chase if he's catching all them passes. Maybe do something about that.
Yeah, but, what a line. 15 receptions, 192 yards and 3 touchdowns. The winner of Fantasy Gameday, unsurprisingly, had Jamar Chase as captain, which is what won it for him, and we'll get to that in a minute. But, he was moaning the week before, wasn't he, about how he's always open. 15 receptions.
Yeah, I'm feeling like Cardinals could be a good over-kind team because I think they've got not the greatest defense, but they also put up points on offense. I think moving forward, see what the Cardinals are playing.
James Conner went down, though, injured, didn't he? Which might stifle that running game a bit. But Amari DiMercado came in and I thought did a good job. One potentially as a fantasy pickup. Marquise Hollywood Brown with a touchdown as well. I just like saying his name. Hollywood, it's great, isn't it? Josh Dobbs a mixed game, but yeah, Bengals really do look back on track, and I think they really need to start getting in a bit of a groove now, don't they? They're lucky. I think not lucky, but the Ravens could be a 4-1. Ravens could be a 5-0. Found a way to lose that Colts game, the overtime one. Found a way to lose against the Steelers. And there could be 3 games back of the Ravens here, having already lost to them. They're not. They're 1 game back, or 2 at 1.5, I guess. And they've got a bit, the Bengals, it's still tough, the run. And I feel they just kind of need to hang on in there. So they're at home to the Seahawks next. Bye week. At Niners. Home to the Bills. And then they play that second Texans game in mid-November.
And they are plus 500 to win the division. Which I think is a very interesting bet. I don't think they should be 4th favourite in the division. I think they should be ahead of Pittsburgh.
I think it's the schedule they've got is rough, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Bills, the Niners. They've got to go
Chiefs.
to Baltimore. They've got to go to Baltimore. They've got to play the Chiefs yet. They've got to go to the Pittsburgh. They've got to play the Steelers twice, where Steelers will be a home underdog in that game. So back week 16. I'm just looking out for where it's going to be. But yeah, I know it feels it's like they need that. They absolutely can't afford to slip up against Seattle next week. And then if you can split the Bills, the Niners and Bills game, win one of those, and then go to Baltimore and win. I think then they could then just build, have that momentum and build. They've got to go to Jacksonville as well, which isn't going to be easy. So, yeah, tough road ahead for the Bengals, but on the right track. Unders, I went Patriots. Saints, this is not how I thought this under was going to hit. 34-0. I mean, you thought it couldn't. And this is worse than what happened in Dallas, right? Getting shut out at home and beat by 34 by the Saints, whose offense has been putrid.
Yeah, this is a worse. I don't care numerically what it is. It's a worse pick. It's a worse bet, sorry. Worse loss. I'll really get my words right.
Yeah. It was a good pick.
Yeah, great pick by you, Paul. I can't believe I didn't go with this for the under. I picked the Saints to win. It was one of my favourite bets of the week. And I don't know. I thought it might go over because it was such a low number. I
I think it's one of them now where I think I picked the Patriots. We'll probably get onto that next. But I think the mystique of the Patriots is now gone. I always felt like, Patriots will win. Even like last year, there would be, offenses which weren't great. And I never thought the Saints offense has been great this year, but they're just even worse on defense and special teams and everything. It's just a team going nowhere.
It's like Man United at home now, isn't it? The mystique is gone. Shout's gone on Tomine. It is embarrassing. It is so bad for the Patriots. Bill O'Brien coming back, it's not really worked. It's not kind of really giving Mac Jones any life or any semblance that he's going to be good. What do you do? Bailey Zappi's coming twice quite early in the four quarters and games. Do you just sit Mac Jones now and roll with Bailey Zappi?
But Bailey Zappi's looked terrible as well, though. That's the thing. Yeah. He's not like he's come in, he's like a spark. He's just been as bad. So it's a bit like, I think the overall, you've just got to look at Belichick really more. I think more as the GM than the coach. I think that's where the downfall's been, that they've just not got the players anymore. The offensive line's terrible. Yep. Special teams, which was his strength, is terrible. They haven't got any weapons or anything exciting. It's just, I think they've just managed to build a bad team over like 4 or 5 years since Brady's left.
It's mad when you look at the names, like look at those receivings, like Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, Devontae Parker, Gesicki. Gesicki's okay, I guess. Juju Smith-Schuster.
Gesicki's trash as well, let's be fair.
And it's just crazy because, I know they had Myers last year, who actually had a decent year, and they let him go and tried to replace with Juju. And it feels like they feel like they've still got Tom Brady, who can make any wide receiver look great. That's how it feels like that's how they're playing it. They're not thinking, we've got Mac Jones, we might actually need some superstars other than,
And they paid so much money. Like Hunter Henry's a competent tight end. They paid so much money to Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith 2 summers ago. They paid money, like you said, to Juju that they could have just paid for Jacoby Myers. I'm sure Jacoby Myers would have stayed for the same money. It's pathetic. It's just pathetic. Like, you don't want to be so overly dramatic about it, but how long did Tom Brady carry this franchise for if this is a decision making that happens when he's not in the building? I think it's hilarious. I think it's great. I think it's pathetic. I don't have enough good things to say about it. And I'm not blowing my own trumpet too much, but I said this in the summer. Belichick's getting fired at the end of this year.
You should put some money on it.
I don't think it's available as a bet.
Fired, is he? He's just going to step away, I imagine.
I think he might get fired. Kraft isn't happy. I think they will. You can't have sympathy and you can't have sentimentality because he's done well for so long. It's tomorrow's game. It's not yesterday's.
I know. Well, I think there's
it'll be a mutual thing, I guess. They won't say we have fired him. Yeah. I think it'll be mutual, but I don't think Bill Belichick will quit coaching either. I think.
Well, I'm guessing that's the issue because they can't just say, we're going to get a GM and Bill, you're only coaching, because I don't think Bill Belichick will accept that. Yeah. Or vice versa. Just, you just be GM and we'll get another coaching. It's all or nothing, feels like.
And I don't want to, again, be too fun on it, but it's hard because we just look at his players and say, the dog shit, so of course the team's dog shit. But what's the coaching advantage you get from Belichick right now? He'd be an incredible DC, I'm sure. But his offensive he got Joe Judge and Matt Patricia to call offense last year. That isn't a man who's making good sound decisions for the best of the team. That's a man who wants the sound of his own voice around, who wants yes men around. That's not who you want leading your team. It's not who I would want leading any of my teams. I'd rather have Mike McCarthy. I don't like Mike McCarthy. Especially not this week.
Bill Belichick to the Cowboys next year. Here we go.
Fucking hell. What's Jason Garrett doing? Can we get Jason back in the spot?
Calling Notre Dame games on NBC, I think.
He's rested.
I don't think he's doing that anymore. Saints, is there anything to read into this? The Saints, or was it just the Patriots that sucked that much?
For me, I don't think you can read too much into it just because you're playing the worst team. Well, them or the Panthers are the worst team. Again, they're just in a nice division, 3-2, like a few of them. So, you got to take them serious to get to the playoffs, but they're not, similar. They're not going to beat the Eagles, Lions, or 49. I don't think they even beat the Cowboys. So I think they're going to be there challenging at the end. I just think that Derek Carr's he's just basically what he was in Vegas last year, when I think a lot of people were expecting him to go back to what he was before and actually improve them. It feels like they're not much better since they had Andy Dalton in there, so it's not much of a improvement.
Cool. Byron, you doubled up and went for the under on the Panthers Lions, which didn't hit. Joe, you had the London under. That's fucked me 2 weeks in a row.
Slow turf, that mate. Slow turf.
Slow turf.
It was close. I'm not going to lie, though. It was like,
in the end.
I think it was like 25 points with like 5 minutes to go. I'm there, like, relaxed, like, yeah, this is easy. And then it's like, oh shit, they're doing the kickoff. And I thought it was going to bounce into Bill's hand,
didn't they?
Yeah, on the onside kick. And I was like, if I lose this, but I was there, I was more or less celebrating by that point. So
Josh Allen just decided to start throwing 60-yard bombs with 5 minutes to go. It's like, where has this been for 3 quarters?
Thank God it was 48.5 and not any lower.
Yeah, and just a bit about how many yards they were in the game for so few points. It was ridiculous.
It's just fumbling, wasn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, and then Bo hit the under on Eagles Rams. Let's talk about Eagles Rams. Eagles continue march on 5-0. Again, didn't look in any particular major trouble in this one.
Yeah, I thought Hurts looked better, which is like the scary thing. The fact that 5-0 and not looked amazing, and especially offense. So if they can turn it around and and the defense looked good with Jalen Carter, I think he might be odds on for the defensive rookie.
Yeah, loving my plus 800. On
especially with like Cox being out, and did he get 2 sacks again?
2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss.
So he's piling it up.
Yeah, loving that. They made a real concerted effort to get Dallas Goedert going, especially on that first drive, and then just kind of continued. He was 8 receptions, 117 yards for a touchdown, as well as AJ Brown having another big game. I feel like if they get Goddard going, feels like they've got everybody going quite early on in the year.
I think that's what's crazy. It's how good an offense is to be like, okay, this game we're just going to make that guy who's not had the best game. We'll get him some touchdowns, and it's like they're picking and choosing how they want to win. Where most teams are just like, can we just have a touchdown? Yeah, anyone get a touchdown, please? And like it feels like they're just choosing. Like, okay, well, AJ Brown wasn't happy last week. We'll just throw him tons of balls, and he'll get loads. It feels like should put all the money on Devontae Smith because he's had 2 quiet games. I feel like next week he's going to go off.
Me too.
I believe the Fantasy Gameday shout. Yeah, man, it's got Devontae Smith.
I had a lucky bet on Sunday as well because I got a free in-play bet from DraftKings. And like I think Goddard got the first catch of the game, or I got one like on real early. I know he scored on the first drive. I was like, oh, they're obviously going to get him featured. Let's get him an anytime touchdown. And then like 2 plays later, he scored a touchdown. I was like, that is exactly how you want that to go. Annoyingly, I didn't do the first touchdown, but I'm not going to complain at a win. I did bench him in fantasy this week, though. So.
Oh, no. We did see from the Rams' perspective the return of Cooper Kupp. Looked like he hadn't missed a beat, didn't he? He looked, he just looked like Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, it looked real good. And Puka Nacua still got his, so.
Yeah, 7 receptions, didn't he, and the touchdown. It was 2 to Atwell was the one that lost out, wasn't he? He just didn't really get the ball, just the 2 targets. But
Van Jefferson got traded today.
Van Jefferson went to Arizona,
Atlanta.
So close, but it is. It was a swap of late round picks, wasn't it? I think 2025 late round picks. So it's just very much a.
It's like a trend, isn't it? It's not even like some of the picks. It's like. Well, like the 49ers Denver one, there might be like 2 picks away from each other, so and you get a free player. It's
low upside. He could look. Atlanta probably need
something.
Yeah, some more firepower. So who knows? And he had a good 2021. Can he rediscover it? Probably not, but it was worth taking a shot.
Yeah.
Cool. That's the end of that one. So in terms of our 4-fold challenge, I went 2-1-1. Byron went 1-2-1. The pushes really fucked me up with this.
Yeah.
Joe went 3-1, and Bo also went 3-1. So I'm still in last place, 9-10-1. The guests 10-10 even. Byron 12-7-1, and Joe 16-4. 7 behind.
What's so annoying though, because we'll talk about bets in a second, where I had a free fold on like 3 favorites, and I was like, why didn't I just put one of them in instead of like, I was so more confident with them than I was the Packers. I think I just panicked and got in my own head. It's just so frustrating. That. It's like, why not just go for the Chiefs, Eagles, or 49ers? Which, there you go.
Or Lions.
Yeah.
Lions were a gimme, I felt like, this week.
Yeah.
It's the only one I won, so don't take my advice.
While we're talking about it, let's just rifle through that now, and we'll talk. So we've got we've actually only got a couple of games left to talk about because we've covered them pretty well this week. I had a nightmare, my first losing week. So I had the double. So the Bills minus 5.5 and the over in the London game. So I started off 0-2, not a good start. I had the push. I had the Texans Falcons over 41.5. No good. So 0-3 start. Miami minus 11, one back. I then went the alternate line, Miami minus 19.5. I have no idea how they did not beat the Giants by 40 in that game. And then I got the Chiefs minus 3.5, and the Eagles Rams under, and then got fucked on Green Bay on Monday. So what was that? 2, 3, 5, 3 and 5. Awful. It's not bad, is it? 3 and 5 for your first losing week. It wasn't a complete disaster, but I phased myself. I read my list about 4 times because of my college disaster. We are transparent. I went 6-13-1 in college football on Saturday, so that just phased me. I should have absolutely backed the Steelers because I love it. Tomlin's an underdog. Just bet it every time. You win money. It's free money. Just bet it. Anyway, I just phased myself. So I'll be back on it this week, though. Byron, you had a brilliant week.
Yeah, so obviously I've already mentioned Breece Hall, plus 1,900 for most rushing yards on Sunday. And to be fair, the other two, I do it every week now, like the most rushing yards, receiving yards, passing yards. Joe Burrow came third at plus 1,200. I mean, he wasn't close to Josh Allen in terms of numbers. He was like 40 yards off. But like in terms of, you get third out of all the runners, not bad. And Ridley finished sixth at plus 5,000, plus 5,000. The US numbers still kind of screw me up a little bit saying that.
50-1.
50-1, yeah. So, if you get 6 in a 100-person race at 50-1, it's not too bad, but it doesn't win. So, whatever. The Hines as well got 5 out of 6 this week, and Mark Andrews knocked one out of Zay Flowers' his route that would have got all 6 in. But I mean, that returned about 10 times your stake, so certainly a successful one.
Yeah, well done on that. That's so difficult to do. Well done. 5 out of 6 on Hines. What is it? 300? Is it 37-1? Oh, you got it. That, and then
370-1.
370-1. Yeah.
Yeah. If Zay Flowers had just grabbed that,
yeah.
Mark Andrews hadn't interrupted it, it was there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would have been a real nice return. But yeah, I mean, still 10 times stake for getting 5 out of 6. You'll take every week.
Yeah.
Obviously. I had the Jags to win, just on the money line. I felt, like I say, I didn't feel there was a huge disparity, and that was a nice win. Let me just quickly flick through Dallas got it any time was a nice one. DraftKings do these promos that you can just bet on. Apologies, Charlie's real excited about the bets, clearly. They boosted Devon Achane to plus 150 for any time touchdown scorer. You can only bet $25 on it, but it was a free $60 because he was minus 120. A couple of other little wins. We lost a few, though, as well. Marvin Mims went over on the yards, and I think he didn't again because they just don't feature him. And I don't really understand why, but they refused to. And I had Christian Watson and the Packers to win last night bet, which very close. But again, we don't get money for being close. And one of my little ones that I felt fairly strongly about because I thought Dallas Cowboys defense is stout, they're strong, they're going to get in Brock Purdy's face, and he's going to throw an INT. And threw about 45 touchdowns, I think, but no INTs, no. So that was an annoying loss.
Yeah, cool. Good week, though. Well done. And quick one, I know not sport related. You had a dream about Carlisle United and the score, and you backed it, and they won. You won. Well done.
Mental one, yeah. Just like I never bet on Carlisle games because you don't get the fun. It's double loss when Carlisle lose. But yeah, just for bet on Friday night, I was like, I think Carlisle are going to win tomorrow because everyone's been talking about the game because like loads of people going down because it's Bolton away. It's a big game for us. We've never played Bolton in the Premier League era. Never played at their new stadium that I don't know the name of anymore. It was the Reebok, obviously. And I was like,
so much stupid.
It used to be the community stadium, I think, but I think that's even.
It's daft, and I will find it just for the purposes. It's a funny name as well. But go on, carry on.
But I was like, I think they're going to win. I just have this feeling they're going to win. And I went and put my bet on DraftKings. I was like, well, if they're going to win, probably going to win 3-1 as well, right? And yeah, so I thought, well, we'll stick tenner on that. It's 40-1, and yeah, they won 3-1, and you know what? Did that return 450, 460, something like that for the win and the score? So happy days. I mean, I wish I'd bet on Gibson getting a hat trick because name your price, but
name of the stadium.
Nice. Oh, God.
Name of the stadium is the Tough Sheet Community Stadium.
Yes, it is. Yeah, tough shit. Yeah, I remember that.
Community Stadium. Yeah.
I remember that being a thing now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, great weekend. Cheers.
Yeah, well done. Joe, how did yours go?
Yeah, so I've mentioned that treble. So the Eagles -4, the Niners and Chiefs -3.5 that came in. That just won me. I think I took the 5 on, won like $40. So basically paid for my weekend of betting. Got the over on the Jets game. I went with that one. I went under the Detroit, Carolina, so I lost that. Took some money on some anytime touchdown scorers, but I only got one of them. That was Waddle, and that was fairly early. So, yeah, didn't go to plan. And then, yeah, I had the FourFold on, which didn't quite hit with Packers. But I'm just annoyed because I did say Dak over, I think it's 2 or more interceptions like I did last year. Don't know why I didn't put money on it again. And I also said it's either going to be a big game for Debo or Kittle. I knew one of them would get plenty of touchdowns, and it was obviously Kittle this time. So, yeah, missed out on not chucking them in. But, you know, if you say them on the podcast, they still count. So,
yeah. Yeah, I hope you're tracking that. Just a reminder, make sure you're following. Well, follow us on everything, but, you know, for these, because there's so many that get added on a Sunday and so that. Follow us on our Instagram and our Twitter /X at GTW_GTC. They all get posted in the lead up to the games because we record this early, so we have plenty of thinking time for what we want to bet on afterwards. So it tends to be a lot that get added. Let's finish off by having a look at not finish off. We've got a couple of bits to do, but let's have a look at our ATS picks because we've only got a few. I felt I had a better week than this, but I didn't. I went 9-4-1. Byron went 10-3-1. Joe lost some ground, so we have a tie at the top. Joe and Byron are both 43-31-4, and I'm 40-34-3. I think I've got 3 winning weeks in a row now, which is good. Again, 9-4-1, so I had quite a good week actually. Overall, I just picked the bets that I picked with the wrong ones. I just didn't stick with my formula, which I should have had a really good betting week, but didn't turn out that way. Thursday night football is one we didn't talk about. Byron, obviously you were on the Bears at +5.5, and the Bears won by 20.
But I mean, I don't want to take any credit for this really, because my logic was it just isn't enough time for the Bears coaches to have to fuck up their game plan. And maybe that's what happened. I don't know, but like, I certainly didn't feel good about it. It was just points, and I don't like Washington either. So, but yeah, what performance with Justin Fields and DJ Moore? Goodness me! I mean, Fields left some yards on the table as well. Yeah. And DJ Moore got screwed out of a touchdown.
Yes,
you know, they're out of bounds. It was. Yeah. I've yet to see an angle that showed he went out of bounds. So I mean, yeah, it could have been even more. I don't know if they scored on that drive. I must be honest. But yeah, it was incredible performance from Fields and DJ Moore.
Yeah, 8 receptions, 230 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Again, we talked about a bit of a theme. Talked about just getting the ball to your best playmakers. Good things happen. Chicago started doing that the last few weeks, and their offense has started moving. Played against a couple of poor defenses, but yeah, it started moving, and this was a one-pin. They kicked the shit out of Washington.
Yeah,
I feel like Washington turned up thinking that they've already won this game. Because obviously they've actually got a good defense, and it just looked like, they're playing Denver again. Disappointing Washington side, because you just think if they won that game, they would have been same record as Cowboys and being in the NFC playoffs. But when you lose games like this, it catches up with you end of the year when you only win 8 and you're like a game or 2 off the playoffs.
I guess kind of the blitz of points in the first half from the Bears, dictated this. Washington only ran the ball 10 times. Sam Howell ran it 4 of those times.
Yeah.
They had Brian Robinson run it 6 for 10 yards, and that was it. Like, you're not going to win games in the NFL like that. The recipe for success isn't Sam Howell throwing the ball 51 times.
And I think they passed like 40 plays in a row as well. Like, there just wasn't a rushing attempt. They just pass. It's like, you're going to get Sam Howell killed because your line ain't holding up even against Chicago. So
the Bears had 2 sacks in 4 games. I think they had 5 in this one.
5, yeah.
5.
If the Bears are getting 5 sacks on you, you've got a big problem.
Cool. Let's move on then. Again, the Bill. Me and Joe on the Bills. Byron, you got it with Jaguars. You had a pretty good start, didn't you? Me and Byron on the Colts. Joe on the Titans. We all pushed Texans. Me and Joe went on the Patriots. Thought we were going to see the bounce back from Belichick. We didn't. Byron, you got the Saints. All on the Dolphins. This is the last game this is the only game we haven't talked about. Dolphins. I just didn't. The way it was going, I just thought they were going to win that game by 40.
A couple of fluke interceptions, or I think it would have been. Do you remember one of them was in the end zone that went 100 yards the other way? So, I mean, you can't really quibble too. Well, they won by 15 points in the end. Fair enough, we expected more, but I think performance-wise, they had more. So, and luckily, New York play the Bills next week. So,
and without Jones.
So,
Is Daniel Jones going to be out? Is that what?
Well, they're not quite sure, Pat, because I think it was a neck injury, wasn't it? And what I heard is that he was trying to get back in the game. And they were like, "You're just not going back in this game with this neck injury." And apparently, he's had this injury before, so I think it's one of them wait and see. It could be Tyra Taylor time, revenge game.
T-Mobile, and he's going to need to be T-Mobile because that line has been awful. Evan Neal, after mouthing off during the week. Have you seen the one play where he just goes to block the wrong guy and lets Daniel Jones they have a free shot now? I'm feeling a bit sorry for Daniel Jones because he's just tackling dummy. He's just got no chance. Obviously, they're missing Barkley. There's no threat on the ground. Darren Waller's doing what he can, but I feel they just really set Daniel Jones up for failure. And look, we raved about Coach Daboll last year. I think it's right he gets he gets some criticism this year because I think I just don't think they've set to push on, and I think the NFC's weak, and that's kind of how the Giants managed to win 9 games and go win a playoff game in Minnesota. But I think there's a bit of an inquest needed in New York, and I think you might want to play a game last year, but I think you might just need to start again.
Yeah, I'm curious if he's going to be one of them coaches who win the coach of the year and then gets fired the year or two later, because there's been a few of them.
Yeah,
just because they go to a bad team, they have a good first year, and then not the best. So I think, I was never in on the Giants. I just didn't think they had too much. I was never big on Jones and the rest of the team, and the defense is just not look good as well. So it's just a recipe for disaster.
I didn't think they were going to be this bad. I thought there'd be like a few games to drop a few games from where they were last year, maybe 6-7 games. They look awful, really bad. Not good. The boat pictures started to circulate again because things have got that bad. In terms of Miami, a chain out, still not got that right. Every time I go to say it, I say it a different way. He's headed to IR for 4 weeks. Do you think it's going to slow down Miami at all?
I think he obviously getting rid of a danger person because it was the speed of him. But, you've still got Mossert and
Jeff Wilson's off IR this week.
Yeah, Jeff Wilson played, I think, as well. And so, they've got cover. And I think they're the kind of team where, it was, instead of scoring 40 or 50, they might score 30 or 40. I don't think it'll make much difference. And I think they'll keep going how they're going.
Yeah. Cool. I was on the Steelers with +4. Matt Tomlin's home underdog. We were all on the Lions, -9.5. Me and Byron on the Bengals. Joe took the Cardinals +3. All on the Eagles, all on the Jets, all on the Chiefs. I took the Niners -3.5. Sorry, that's the way it was going to go. I wasn't going to bet it. I never was going to bet it. I should have bet it, but I was never going to bet it. And we were all on the Packers that lost. So, good week for me and Byron. Not so good for Joe. And it's all tightened up in the ATS competition. Let's have a chat through our winners and losers before we talk about the Fantasy Game Day. And we've got some exciting news for that. Winners and losers, Joe, do you want to start us off with your winners?
Winners. Let's say the Bengals are the winners this week, just because I think they were dead and buried a week or two ago, and then winning. I know they're playing just the Cardinals, but it just feels like they're coming back to their best, and with Baltimore losing, it's made. Yeah, they've gone from a disaster start of the season to it's not too bad, and they can come back from it.
Yeah, Byron, your winner of the week.
Nathaniel Hackett.
Nice.
Wonderful scenes at the end of the game. And yeah, fully deserved because he got shit on by someone who wasn't in a position to be doing so. And shoved it up his ass. Fuck him.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's nice for Nathaniel Hackett. I'm going to go Desmond Ridder. He was garbage in London the week before. Come back, bounce back, some life in that Atlanta offense, and led them to a win. I feel like he actually contributed to it as well. Loser of the week. I'll start. It's going to be Big Mike McCarthy. He's my loser of the week. Not what to say.
I was kind of torn between two. I was hoping I would go middle, so I'd at least get one of them. On the same theme as Nathaniel Hackett, loser of the week, Sean fucking Payton. Go fuck yourself.
And we'll make it free coach out of free. Let's go. Bill Belichick's a big loser as well.
That was my second one I was torn with.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, good stuff. Excellent. Let's move on to Fantasy Game Day lineups of the week for week 5. Before we get into that, a reminder: we've partnered with the guys over at Fantasy Game Day. Great group of guys. I'll get there. They've brought a fantastic game and app out here in the UK. We're finally getting a high quality daily fantasy NFL game. Download it now from your app store. Set up a lineup. You've got till 5 o'clock on Sunday. Pick your favorite NFL stars within the budget. Create your lineup as best as you can. What's going to score the most points for you? Some standard fantasy scoring fare on there. You finished in the top 20% of entrants. There was 121 entrants this week, so 20 odd. It was 27, 28 that got a prize, including us. We got a prize this week. Yay. You'll win a cash prize. The prize pool was over £700 this week from 21 entries, 121 entries, which was great. You must be 18 years old or over. It's only available in the UK. And of course, please gamble responsibly. Because we've got a great partnership with the guys at Fantasy Game Day, we bring something extra special to you. So if you go download the Fantasy Game Day app now, again, from the app stores, sign up and register. When you register, enter promo code COVER. So good teams and great teams, COVER all in capital letters, COVER, Charlie, Oscar, Victor, Echo, Romeo. You will then have to go deposit some funds and enter a lineup. But because you've used our promo code, you will then be credited a free play. So you could use that the same week to enter a second lineup, or you could hold it for a different week if you wish to. But you'll get a free entry on us. On the Fantasy Game Day, guys, because you're a listener of ours. So it's promo code COVER. You must enter it at the point of registering. COVER, Charlie, Oscar, Victor, Echo, Romeo, all in capital letters. Think that's clear enough? Yeah. Cool.
Promo code COVER, all right?
Promo code COVER. We couldn't get GTW GTC because it needed only to be 5 characters. So it's COVER. All in capital letters.
I got outvoted when I said we should do Byron, so I think Gover's a good compromise.
Cover is a good compromise. Absolutely. So let's take a look at the winner of week 5. A monster score, 218 points. Let's pick apart then. Guys, where do you want to start? You start with Captain Chase?
It's a bold call, to be fair. Because, you look at what the Bengals have been the first 4 weeks. Great call by... The usernames aren't dictated for who they are, so Lavender1155. I don't know where I was putting Jamar Chase as captain, so yeah, great shot by them.
Yeah, it's definitely like picking someone who not everyone's going to pick, who has a big week, because I think a lot of people went probably like Hill, what we went. So
we went Tyree,
yeah, or like them kind of players. It's he did well.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's the thing is that you kind of have that the strategy part of it around look where you're gonna. What's the obvious pick's going to be potentially, and where can you be different and get ahead? And I suppose kind of it looked pretty set, and it was obviously the Bengals was one of the later games because of the way the early games went. It looked pretty set, and then obviously those that had Chase or Burrow and Chase came storming back. So yeah, real interesting. Jalen Hurts, we talked about, he probably had a better game. Scoring 27 points. So yes, Jamar Chase scored 52.2 points, but as a captain, 104 0.4 points, which was wild. Montgomery was one we had again. Probably a good shout. Probably could have had. Again, I thought he probably could have had 3 touchdowns the way it was going in the red zone opportunities. They gave
Goff
him
and
one.
Reynolds got one. Right.
Yeah, Reynolds got one, and they ran one in with Goff when I thought they should have just given it to Montgomery because it was like second down as well, so it's not like they had to, but they just sneaked off. Pierce for Houston, quite a game for him. Boyd, Pittman, and then Tyreek Hill was the other big scorer, 32.1. We had Tyreek as captain, but yeah, 181 yards, 8 receptions, and 1 TD. And then Tyler Higbee, which didn't do a lot. I think that goes through. You don't have, to get this right or be competitive and get a good score. You don't have to hit on everyone.
Yeah, I was going to say,
the budget.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks, the tight ends for both winners have been
like lost to Cooper last week, right?
Yeah, it's got next to nothing. So it's all about just hitting, your captain and then like 2 or 3 other big players, and then.
So this week, I think, find us a budget tight end. What's Kylan Granson?
Well, we'll have a chat around our lineup after. We've already started preparing, and you'll hear some of our tips in the preview. But go download Fantasy Gameday. It's available now on your app store, or you can just go to the website fantasygameday.app. Download it, register, use promo code COVER when signing up. Enter a lineup. This week's game is available now, so we've already got, I think, 20 entries for this week. It's going to be more than the 121 last week. The prize pool will be bigger. Enter your lineup. You'll then be credited with a free play, which you can use either this week for a second lineup, or should you wish to use it further down the line, you can do. It's a great play. It's a great app. Couldn't recommend it enough. And sweet hoodie. Love the hoodie.
Ooh.
Thank you, Gummy, for sending the hoodie. It's fire. We love it. I will be wearing this all the time now.
And if you're not watching the YouTube, there is a good reason to go and do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Come check out this fire hoodie. It'll be all over the social media channels as well. Line closes 5 o'clock on Sunday. As a reminder, 18 plus, UK only. Please gamble responsibly. Cool. Thursday night football, chaps. Let's finish up. I don't know. It's a bit duff, this one, isn't it? Thursday night football, Broncos at Chiefs. We have to watch the Broncos again. Broncos at Chiefs. The line is currently Denver plus 10.5. Over under is, I looked at this before and I've lost it. Over under is 47.5. The Chiefs, when they're a 10-point or more favorite since Mahomes has come in, I think they're 9-12 against the spread. Joe, I gave you a note the other week, didn't I? When the Chiefs are this big, I think I'm going to bet the Broncos here. It sounds ludicrous, I know, but I think I'm going to take the 10.5. And hope maybe it gets more, actually, closer to Thursday night football.
Yeah, I'm tempted, especially where it's curious to see when we'll find if Kelsey's playing or not. Because I think if he's not playing, then you definitely go Broncos 10. But I still think Chiefs are going to win. I just don't know if they're going to blow them out because they haven't really blown out any team. But on the flip side, it feels like if they are going to blow any team out, it's probably going to be the Broncos just because how bad their defense is. So, interesting game. I think I might go under on the points as well. I don't think both teams are going to score that many. So, I think definitely under what you said, 47.5.
I feel I might try and get out ahead of the Kelsey stuff and just take it now. I guess essentially it's not going to get bigger, is it? I guess it could only probably
not much,
down, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Byron, your read on it?
I struggle to bet the Broncos in any circumstance. I think it's probably one I'll stay away from, betting wise, in terms of the points and the game. I'll tell you a bit I do like though, and you'll be surprised by this one. Marvin Mims to get 60 or more receiving yards is plus 1,000, 10-1. They have to use him at some point. He's their best receiver. They're going to be behind in this game almost certainly. Throw Marvin Mims the effing ball. It's plus 4,500 to get 2 touchdowns. It's plus 1,000 to get 60 receiving yards. None of them are ridiculous. He's their best player on offense.
Well, they don't seem to feel that, do they, really?
Yeah.
I trust my judgment more than Sean Payton's.
It's a good job Byron hitting a few bets. I would be going bankrupt if it'd been Marvin Mims' fault.
Just that stat on the Chiefs at home, they're 9-9 as a 10-point or more favourite at home since Mahomes has taken over.
I do like as well, Jaleel McLaughlin is plus 200 anytime touchdown. He looks like their best running back. I don't think Javonte Williams is going to be fit for this game. And I would have him as their number 1 running back anyway right now. He looks the best one of the 3. And I think plus 200 for a starting running back to score a touchdown is a really big price.
Yeah. No, he did look good. I think it was off the screen pass that he scored the touchdown from, where he looked like he was going to drop it and grabbed it. Had a decent game. Cool. Right, that's it for our Week 5 review. We got there. I said an hour, chaps. It's been an hour and 35 minutes. We just gradually...
Yeah, we're cutting down.
Knocking down the time. We'll be back on Thursday nights. We'll be back on Thursday night. Will be released for our Week 6 picks and preview. We'll have a special guest who we've not confirmed yet doing as our guest picker. As always, those have been going pretty well so far. Again, follow us. Spotify, Good Teams and Great Teams cover. Follow to be notified of new episodes. Twitter, X, Instagram, YouTube at GTW_GTC. Come and give us a follow, especially to catch the bets as the weekend unfolds, as we obviously have some more bright ideas after we've talked on the podcast. But it's been a pleasure, chaps, as always, and I will see you for Week 6. And go download the Fantasy Gameday app. Promo code COVER, COVER.
Cheers.